Hi Miriam, thank you for uploading your homework. Just a quick note, there are one of the pictures, I thought it was more than that, sorry. The rest of them are full resolution. This one is a very cute picture, but it's been reduced dramatically in size. So whatever you're doing, have your editing and stuff, just please make sure that everything is full size. These are fine. This one's been cropped, but that's okay. This is fine. We can see the size over here. These are fine. When these numbers are in above 2000, then we're doing okay. For sure above 3000. When they drop to like here, where we see that under 1000, that means the picture is going to be sub quality, and it would mean that I wouldn't be able to do any kind of edit to that in Lightroom. Also, we've lost the metadata, so just that's as a side point. Okay, I'm just going to read the note that you sent to Josh. First of all, this course is great for me. I'm learning so much by just the second class. Thank you. Thanks for that. That's our pleasure. Great. I'm really happy that you're enjoying it and that you feel like you're learning. It was raining the day of the photo shoot, and so we improvised and did it indoors. Okay, so that already is, you have to know that although the rules are still the same, what happens when you're indoors is that the light levels fall dramatically. Okay, for some reason most of the pictures did not come out sharp. Is that because of the not so great lighting or the new lens I got? Okay, so the lens that you got, I'm assuming you've got the 50mm. You bought the lens that I recommended. Good one. That's excellent. So it's not because of the lens. I've got the question in mind, so let's go into the homework and then we'll look at the photo shoot and we'll discuss. Okay, so here is your example of focus. Perfect. Bing, 10 out of 10. Okay, we can see that this bottle is X distance from you. You focused on here. The cup in the background is a different distance, which means when the bottle's sharp, the cup's not sharp, and vice versa. Perfect, well understood. Clear. Let's go on. Okay, close face. Excellent, excellent. There's a beautiful little boy. Beautiful picture. One thing I want to just give you some kudos on, which means a compliment, is that the direction of a face is very important to know this. I mention this to everybody. The direction of a face is downwards. So our eyes enter into the point of entry is our eyes going into his eyes, and then because of the way the nose and the mouth and the way the eyes move down, the shape created by the nose and the mouth, our eyes move down. Which means for a face to be correctly framed within the canvas, it should always be that the eyes are a drop higher than center. We've got this interesting, actually, because I'm looking at this, they are a drop higher than center, but there's an interesting thing that's happening here, is that this line, although it moves down, it actually stops our eye. This line of his shirt actually creates an interruption for the tension of our eye moving downwards, which means basically the picture is perfectly balanced, beautifully balanced. Excellent, really very, very sensitive, sensitively cropped in and framed. Excellent, that's a great picture, you should be proud of that. Okay, a third. So this isn't really a third. Let's just have a quick intro, just a look. It's funny because what is the direction of this little Tyke's little train thing here? What's the direction? Have a think. So the actual direction of this little Tyke thing is, there's actually a triangle. One second, let's see if I can bring up my paintbrush. That is the triangle that's been created, which means the direction is actually moving into this way. It's quite interesting. So to have put this on the third, if we wanted our eye moving into the space of the third, it should have actually been on this side of the frame. You with me? In regards to it being on the third, another thing that we have to determine is where is the middle point of our object. So I would say it's probably around this point here, okay, because we've got more, so to speak, triangle over here than we do over here. So let's just see if that works out. I think it's actually not a third. The third would probably be along this line over here. something like that. So the actual, please be very accurate with the third. It's going to involve a couple of things. Number one is working out where the, so to speak, the center of the object is, and it's not always, in fact very rarely does it mean like the middle of the actual object. You have to work out the tensions and the sizes. It could be to do with the color of the object, the textures of the object, and you have to feel with your mind's eye and work out the center, and then put that on the third. So here you just fell short. It should be a little bit closer, a little bit further over. Okay, as you practice, you'll get more and more used to it. From this picture, we can see, so 1 second. From this picture, I can see clearly that you have a very sensitive eye. So this is just going to take a little more practice, but you'll get it quite easily. Okay, great. And here, perfect. Okay, now it's something very interesting is here, which we can deal with very quickly in Photoshop, but makes a very, very big difference graphically. Let's open this picture in Photoshop. I'm not going to take it to Lightroom. I'm going to do it in Photoshop for what I want to show you. Okay. Well, I remember the days when my computer used to be quick. Excuse me. Oh, poor computer. Okay. Beautiful. Let's according to what we just spoke about here, what's the middle point of our subject? Because if we were to look at him as just a blob, then the middle point would be over here. However, we can see clearly that the tension of his face is really pulls us over to this side. So the actual middle point of our image is here, and that gives us perfectly on the thirds. Excuse my bad drawing. This is perfectly beautifully placed. Now what's very interesting, we've got also his body is moving to the left and his face is to the left. It's really an excellent picture, it really is. This line, however, watch how easily we can get rid of this. I'm going to show you a tool called the patch tool. In fact, we'll do it with the marquee tool, and then we'll change to the patch tool and just go like that, cha-ching. Oh, and it is gone. What a difference. Do you see what a difference that line makes in your picture? It's very important to remember things like this, that these lines, this makes a huge difference in an image. A line that goes straight through the picture completely breaks the emotions, the feelings which you would have if it wasn't there. So this is a great picture. I think we're actually going to save this for you. That was ching, gone. Okay, so that is excellent. I really appreciate your sensitivity to the balance of the image, to the tensions. You've demonstrated that really clearly here. Excellent, great. Okay, so let's get into your pictures in regards to the photo shoot that you did. Now, what you asked about, you said that you did it indoors. The pictures didn't come out so sharp. Is this because not good lighting? The lighting is not so great. So now we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but we have to remember what it means not so great lighting. There's a few different things. I'm not going to get into it too deeply right now, but we have the level of the light, and then we have the actual quality of the light. So for example, if I have a light, I'm going to turn a light on above my head. Now you can see that the quality of the light, the way the direction is coming from, the actual, it's a very like bright white light coming from a funny place. Like for example, if I was to bring it upwards to be pointing this way, now look how strange that looks. Okay, that looks very weird. Yeah, so that you could call the quality of the light. Okay, where it's coming from, what color it is, etc. And then you have the actual power of the light, how bright the situation is. So when you're indoors, you usually end up with the short end of both sticks, as in you end up with very low light levels, and also you end up with a bad quality of light, as it shows you in here. the quality of the light here is, you can see there was some light on in the room because we have a shadow at the indent of his nose, and there's light on his nose, which means there's light coming from above, as you can see from his head, and you can see there's shadow under here. We also have a window or something coming. You can usually see in the, oh yeah, we can see there's a window coming from this side. My camera's back to front, but coming from this direction. So the quality of the light is not good, okay? And the level of the light, you're at a 1600 ISO, f5 at a 200th of a second. Now with your camera, the T5, it doesn't handle 1600 ISO particularly well. It's not bad, okay, but it's not amazing. We're going to learn, you're just going to have a little patience, because right now you'll see your aperture is at f5. With your lens, you could have been shooting your aperture at 1.8. You're going to learn in class 4 about that, and that would allow you to have used a lower ISO, which you're going to learn about in class 5, which means your picture will just be better. This is great, keep doing it, and if you're frustrated and you feel that you didn't do very well, that's amazing, because that's going to give you energy to go on and do very well. Saying that, you did very well. This is great. You're technically you don't know enough right now to get the quality of the picture good, but in regards to what you have learned, which is the concept of cropping in close, the idea of tensions, point of entry, shapes, textures, etc., excellent. And you're going to look back in another couple of weeks and you're going to feel sick that you took this picture, but the foundations of what you've learned now, I can see, are really in place, and you're going to love the results of what you're able to achieve in the next couple of weeks, especially when you learn about aperture. So this is great. The quality of the light, like you mentioned, is not good, okay, and it's low, which means you've got your high ISO, which creates a noisy picture, makes you feel that it wasn't so sharp. But the pose is beautiful, and like I said, everything else, like you've demonstrated just before, the sensitivity to the space and the directions and the tensions is excellent. Okay, here it would be good to have a little extra room over here for the gaze to be moving into, remember. So to crop off here, which would make this feel a bit, would give you, so to speak, more room on this side, wouldn't be the right thing to do, because you end up cutting off his ear, which wouldn't be a good idea. But this picture, it could be this picture should have been taken in a landscape orientation. But yeah, this would need a little bit more room. I think you could probably feel how this is a little bit jarring. The eye kind of goes bang into the side of the frame over here. Okay. Now this is nice. This is again you demonstrating a real talent and a real sensitivity to the tensions of the image. Beautiful point of entry is into the eyes, and our eye moves along here, comes back. So I really appreciate the fact that you put him on the third at the side here. Excellent, very good. Maybe a little bit more of the furry rug in here, which would border him, which would border the baby a bit better and stop our eye from grazing the edge here. So I think the tensions in this picture, I think, are basically moving this way. You could argue that it goes this way, but I think generally it goes this way. And what's happening here is our eye, so to speak, is grazing the edge of the canvas, coming back. So just a teeny little bit more space at the bottom would have remedied that, but it's not really a big deal. Again, like we spoke about before, the light is not ideal in this place. We can see there's lights coming from the ceiling over here, and then there's some light from the window on the other side. But yeah, it's not ideal. Okay, that's a great shot. That's a beautiful expression. Same things go with the light, but the expression is beautiful, and we've got a nice dynamic triangle, so it feels very energized. You're at a 1/25th of a second that you're going to learn from the next class is probably the reason why it's not pin sharp. You can see a little bit of camera motion that you'll learn about in the next class, but still good. And this is, see, this is a beautiful picture. The issue, the thing that I'm thinking would fix this is that there's too much room over here. Now this is a very kind of cheeky, kind of mischievous little grin, so it would help if we added some more kind of dynamic tension to it. So I think cropping the frame, see, I do like this border here. I think cropping the frame to something like this would add a little bit. Do you see what I'm talking about? I feel that it's added that little bit more of like cheeky tension. which goes with the subject. Excellent. You are doing fantastically. This is fantastic. You've gotten the right equipment as well, and you're in an amazing place to really do something excellent. Let's just take this picture. I'm just going to do a very quick edit. There's not that much to do here, but I'm just going to do a quick edit on his skin just to show you how we would deal with just adding a little bit extra to a child's skin. Let's just zoom in a little bit here. Okay, so we're going to go to, let me just look at the information and see. You're at 1600 again. That hasn't really done you any justices. Let's go to noise reduction. There we go. See, that just took away, see the difference? That just took away the problem from the higher ISO. Now we're going to do a quick iris enhance. Just bring out the whites of the eyes. That's great. I think we're going to do a very quick but subtle soften skin. I'm not going to go to clarity 0. Just going to soften the skin ever so slightly. Take away that little shine there. Let's have a look. See, subtle difference, but it does make a difference. It really does make a difference. So that was just a very quick, simple way. I think also what I might do is actually just bring out the energies of his sweater here. If we paint over here just roughly, let's just get rid of everything. Now if we push up the clarity, you see how that just brought out all those textures? That's great. Put up the saturation, a teeny drop. That's great. And I think also to just brighten his skin a teeny weeny little bit, just do a general brush around here, get rid of all the effects, just raise up the exposure just a teeny little bit. Okay, so we went from here to here. Again, like I said, subtle, but it does make that difference. Okay, excellent work. Looking forward to seeing what you do from us next, what you do for us next week. Okay, all the best.